Hey gang, Ronan here, welcome on back to the Cade and another edition of Suckerpunch Sunday, where we hit the Wayback Machine and explore classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And for this Sunday, in keeping with our now month-long theme of anime-based fighting games, we're going to go back to 1996 and explore a game that actually was never released in the US. I had to port this over from Japan to be able to play it for the Super Nintendo, but it was definitely a game that should have come to the US. We are going to play Shin Kedo Senki Gundam Wing Endless Duel, or for those keeping score at home, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing Endless Duel. Now, how this game works is pretty simple and straightforward, and I'll let it run through the usual stuff, although granted, you're not going to be able to read all that unless you're fluent in Japanese, which I am not. But this game came out, as I said, 1996. It was developed by Natsume in collaboration with Bandai for release on the Super Famicom, known in the US as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It is based on the anime of the same name, Gundam Wing, which was released in Japan in 1995, but didn't really achieve major widespread success until it came to the US in 2000 as part of the early Toonami programming on the, sadly, now defunct Cartoon Network. And this game is actually based on the engine of a game that we've already shown in this series, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Fighting Edition. So what we're going to do over the next 25-30 minutes is we're going to see how well this game compares, and I'm going to just jump right in and take my favorite of the Gundam Wing. I'm going to take Death Scythe, and we're going to take on Trowa and his heavy arms. Now, when I discussed the impact that Gundam Wing had on US younger audiences back now 20 years ago, 25 years ago, almost, it's hard to overstate it. Because, yes, there had been anime that had come out to that point. There had been Sailor Moon, there had been Pokemon, there had been Robotech, there had been all the anime that I grew up with. Man, Troll's not wasting any time playing to me with that freaking cannon. There we go. But when Gundam Wing came out, it was something that was just more accessible to audiences of that era. And you have to keep in mind, now Gundam Wing is close enough to 30 years old. And in Japan, it was actually given quite a bit of scorn, both for the storyline and the characters that were created in it. Now, Gundam, if you're not aware, has been a part of Japanese animation for close to 50 years now. It's almost as old as I am, and I'm older than dirt. As we get a little revenge on Trowa for him beating us down in the first match. But the original Mobile Suit Gundam came out in 1978. And even though my knowledge of anime is pretty diverse and pretty expansive, I've actually never watched the original Mobile Suit Gundam series. I've watched a lot of the spin-offs, especially in the original storyline, which was the UN Spacey versus the Archduchy of Zeon, and that civil war that took up the majority of the original 4 to 5 series. But Gundam Wing was, because each mech was so diverse and because the characters were interesting, and it just played to American taste, I think, in a way that it just didn't in Japan. Now, as a game, I will tell you that this is actually a pretty easy game to control. And out the gate, I'll tell you, I really like the color palette. I like the depth of field that you get, as right now we're fighting in the middle of a space station. Being able to pull off special moves like this quasi-sickle dragon punch with the Death Scythe is not hard. It's no harder than pulling off a dragon punch in Street Fighter. Now, I don't think there are a ton of super special moves in this game, which, being based on giant mechs as opposed to actual human fighters, your options are going to be a little bit more limited, I think. But so far in the first 5 minutes, I certainly like the feel of it better than the Power Rangers Fighting Edition was. It just seems like Bandai and Natsume cleaned this one up a little bit more. Ooh, just slammed Hero to the ground. Now he's going to be content to kick my ankles out. And then, like most fighting games, you have your heavy attacks, you have your light attacks, you have your kicks, your punches, you back up, you can block. I'm not entirely sure what the targeting is when those little target reticles come up. But I catch him with a super move, pulling my spinning sickle dragon punch, and put down Hero and the Wing Gundam. Now, when this game came out in 1996, it was received fairly well. Famitsu gave it a 23 out of 40, which was actually the lowest score of the reviews that I have access to. Nintendo Life gave it an 8 out of 10, and PSX Extreme gave it an 8 out of 10. They did spawn a couple of sequels to this game that came out, I think, a year or two later. Looking at my notes here just to make sure. Yeah, there were Gundam Battle Master, which came out for the PlayStation in 1997, and Gundam Battle Assault, which came out in 1998. But Endless Duel became a game that was actually really in demand for like tournament contests. So if you were having video game tournaments and you had a fighting game back in the early 2000s, this is one that a lot of people ended up playing. Now, while I will admit that of the original 5 Gundam that make up the Gundam Wing, Death Scythe is my favorite, and it shouldn't be a huge surprise. I do actually enjoy the design, and I do appreciate the designs of all 5 of the mechs, to the point where I partook as part of the boom of Gundam in the early 2000s. My local comic book shop had models of all the Gundam Wing characters, and because I had built models when I was younger, burn that special move off. I had all the equipment and everything I needed to do as close to realistic versions of all 5 of the Gundams, along with the Tall Geese and all the other Gundams featured in the series. The only ones I don't have is I don't have the mechs from Endless Waltz, because at the time I could afford to get the regular cartoon ones because they were, I think they were like $10 a pop. They weren't that expensive. But if I wanted to get the more high-end Endless Waltz ones, they're a bit more than I currently had pocket money for at the time. So now we gotta fight Wu Fei and the Shenlong, which I think is an underappreciated Gundam. Because he's got the pole arm similar to the Death Scythe, but he's got the extendable arm with the dragon head, which in some ways makes him similar to the heavy arm, and that big frickin' cannon that Troa has at the end of its arm. Ooh, he scorched me with that dragon head. But still not enough to get past the Death Scythe. Now, Natsume Atari, the company that created this game, and as I said, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for Fighting Edition, as well as Ninja Warriors and a bunch of other fighting games that will likely be featured at a later date down the line on this series, was created in 1987. They're still around. They were originally known as Natsume Co. Limited. You spin your staff, I will spin my sickle, and we'll see who wins. And during the NES and the Super NES era, they came up with games like Scat, Wild Guns, Shadow the Ninja, Pocky and Rocky, Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. And then they started working with companies like Imagineer, Bandai, THQ, and Taito. So now we gotta fight Zex and the Tall Geese. And when I say SCAT, I better make sure I get the acronym laid out, because that could get me a potential content strike. Stands for Special Cybernetic Attack Team. So I have a feeling now that the Tall Geese is like the Balrog of this game. If I mix my fighting game characters a bit. Because I remember the Tall Geese was big and he was not a whole lot of fun to deal with. See if I can't figure out his... Keep forgetting he's got that laser saber along with that big old long rifle of his. Okay, so jumping after him is not going to be helpful. And just like that, he puts me out in the pasture. So predominantly Natsume, after coming up with this game, made games for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Nintendo DS, and only made one game outside of the Nintendo sphere, that being Omega 5 along with Hudson Soft in 2008 for the Xbox 360. Alright, so if I'm going to have to take on the Tall Geese, I'm going to have to bust out the heavy artillery, and I might as well use Wing Zero. Because I just don't think... Ow. Well, even dueling with laser sabers is one where we're not getting too far. See if we can do a little bit of a higher jump here, and nope, he throws us over, and that's it. So, speaking of laser swords and things of that nature, we do have a poll question up on the community page at our YouTube channel. Again, everyone's okay. And it's one where it could help determine what sort of content I'm going to be playing down the line. It's a simple yes or no question. Would you like to see me, Ronan, a first-generation old man gamer, finally put my money where my mouth is and take on the Soulsborne verse, specifically going into Dark Souls 1 Remastered? Simple yes or no. You can post your choice on the community page. I will take the feedback from you guys to determine if I end up making that dive or not. Part of my motivation for this was actually coming out of playing Diablo 1, which we will be wrapping up tomorrow with our final episode. We finally got our showdown with Big Red. But along with playing that and playing Diablo 2 in my spare time, it has got me wondering whether or not the time has come for me to finally just buck up and play a Dark Souls game. So let me know if that's something you want to be able to see. I mean, granted, there is no shortage of people in the world on YouTube who have done the exact same thing. So, you know, obviously there's only so much I can contribute to that, but it would give me a chance to try it out for the first time, and if I figure I'm going to do that for content reasons, then let's do it for content reasons. So, let me know. Okay, Troa is actually doing a bit more work here than I was anticipating, and I think I picked right finally. Because the Heavy Arms has the ability to create enough weaponry that can nullify a lot of the Tallgeese' range attacks. Because now I can just whittle him down like he's trying to do with me. I think I'm also being able to nullify some of his attacks. There we go. When in doubt, use more bullets. That's Troa's motto. And we took care of the Tallgeese. Now we have to fight Noin and the Mercurius, which I don't remember from the original series. Yeah. Alright, well, I'll just sit here and pick you off all day. Ow! Ooh, and he took me down. So, Troll may not be the best one for this particular fight. We will have to see. I was whittling him down quite a bit, but I also got caught with that special attack of his, and that really sucked the life out of me. And then some. Plus, Heavy Arms is much more about brawn than agility. Which is, again, a reason why I prefer something like the Death Sight, because it's a better combination of agility and power. Yeah, I think he's got me on this one. Yep. Because I couldn't get back far enough to avoid getting zapped. Well, we got past the Tallgeese, so that's something in and of itself. Alright, let's try Shenlong for this one. We'll see if Wu Fei can do as well as I think the Death Scythe. Ow. Having that shield might be a little helpful, but not so much. Ooh! I got sloppy. I gave him enough room to be able to fire off that electro charge, and that's what did me in. But that's where I can bust out a flamethrower of my own. Oof! Man, that thing hits hard. Oh, he got me just enough. And then, when in doubt, pull out the pistol and put him down. Okay. I mean, we're actually almost close to the end of this game. Let's go back to Duo. See if our chances get any better with the old scythe. Come out of the gate swinging. Oh, I can't hit him while he's got that field up. Oh! I thought I had him, but as long as he has that field up, it nullifies any damage I like to inflict. Important safety tip. Thanks, Egon. I gotta be able to at least put the Mercurius down once. I haven't beaten it once in this entire game yet. Oh! And he suckered me in, and that was it. So even Duo's not good enough to take it out. Even though he got the closest. Alright, let's try one more time, and the only one I haven't used yet is the Sand Rock. So we'll see what Contra can do. Well, and she immediately comes out, hands down, face presented. If she keeps you cornered, there's nowhere you can move. And yeah, it's a Sand Rock, he's too bottom heavy. So I think for this one I will need to have probably, if not Wing Zero, then the standard one. Because I think I need the agility to be able to get out of its way. Because in a straight power fight, this thing just is not going quiet. Ah! Jumped into it again. Yeah, the Sand Rock doesn't have the range with the Shodels either. And it just pulls in and wipes me out, so... But, on the whole, we've gotten fairly far in this game. A lot farther than I expected for never having played it. And we'll go ahead and we will let the clock wind down and call this one good. But that, everybody, is Mobile Suit Gundam Wing Endless Duel from 1998 for the Super Nintendo. Is it a good game? Actually, I would say yes. I think if you give me a little bit more time, excuse me, from 1996 was when this game came out. But if you give me a little bit more time to get a better feel for how the characters move, and do a bit more understanding of how the opposing fighters operate, especially ones like the higher up bosses like the Curious and Tallgeese, then it's like any other game. You know, you get yourself to a point of familiarity with it where you can anticipate attacks, deliver counters, and then you're all set. But do I like it better than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Fighting Edition? Absolutely. I think the controls are a bit more fluid. They're a little bit easier to operate. Pulling special moves is a bit easier. You know, would it be a game that I would like to probably try with somebody on versus mode? Maybe, but I think it's one where if you are definitely a Gundam fan, you'll get more enjoyment out of it than if you're just looking for a good fighting game. You need to have that bit of a twofer along with it of there's a million fighting games out there, obviously, and you can take your pick on which ones appeal to your particular fancy, but for a game that is based on a series that was more popular here in the States than it was in Japan, and really got American younger audiences into anime 20 years ago, I think it was well represented here. So, again, it's a game that I'm playing on my SNES emulator. It's a free emulator. So, you know, because this is a ported game, it was not released in the States. Trying to find an actual copy of it will probably be nigh on impossible, but if you have the means to get it online and play it that way, then give it a go. I mean, there's certainly worse games out there. If you want a good fighting game, I will tell you that much. So, if you've enjoyed this, and I do hope you have, best way you can show it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. We are, again, finishing up our playthrough of Diablo tomorrow. It will be uploaded overnight tonight. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my customary break and, you know, probably... I want to get back into doing some WTF Wednesday stuff and some one-day builds, or one-day playthroughs, I should say, because I haven't done those for a while before I jump back into a full-blown playthrough. So keep an eye and an ear out for that content coming down the pipe as further events warrant. Be sure to spread the word about us and follow us online at Instagram and Threads at Ronan's Retrocade. Faster we hit our goal of 100 subscribers, the sooner we unlock the YouTube customization algorithm, make this channel bigger and better. Be sure, remember, cast your vote. Do you want to see me be able to jump in and try and get through Dark Souls? I've never played it before. I've seen it a lot of times, but I've never played it. Is that something you want to actually would be interested in seeing put up on the channel? Let me know, yes or no. Poll is on our community page right now. And as always, if there's a game you'd like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or MegaDrive, SNK, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a line on Threads. Can be any game from those consoles that you want. And my name is Ronan. It's been great to spend the Suckerpunch Sunday with you, gang. Be safe, be well, stay cool. It is supposed to be super hot in the world this week. By all means, keep out of it if you can, and we will talk to you tomorrow as we put the cap on our playthrough of the original Diablo. Bye!